because we're going to start our panel discussion. And joining him is, again, Mr. CJ Hernandez of HSBC and Mr. John Garcia from GCash. And we also have Mr. Philip Konyeng from the Manila Bulletin to join us on stage. We'll have a few chairs. All right, so we'll just get some chairs set up, and then we'll have everyone join us on stage for the panel discussion. But before we proceed with that, just a quick check on everyone. How are we? Are we still good? Yes? Okay, I know the people here are still good, but I'm checking on the kids, no? How are we? Students, we still good? Yes, okay, there we go. Just checking for life, okay? So we're still all here. So while everyone's setting up, again, so during the panel discussion, we'll have the format basically. So we have a few questions that we were able to get from you guys, from some of the students beforehand, before today. So we'll start off with that. And then afterwards, as we proceed with the discussion, we'll also be opening the floor to all of you here. So if you have any questions, we'll be passing around the mic, so please feel free to ask. Again, earlier we asked if you had any questions coming from the speakers earlier, just to note them down, but this will be your chance to get those answers. Okay, so here we go. So we have all of our speakers here on stage, and joining us as well to represent the voice of the academe, can we invite our DLSU representative, Professor Maria Gemma Balderrama Cruz. Professor is here to join us as well. So thank you very much, ma'am, for being here with us this morning to represent the DLSU community. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and kick things off. So as I mentioned earlier, we'll start first with some questions that we got from our audience. So please feel free to answer. So we'll just start first of all. So earlier during the sessions, we got a pretty good understanding of, from an institutional level, from both the private and public sector, on what financial sustainability is. But I guess to kind of ground it a little bit, especially for our students here this morning, for you personally, for anyone personally, what is financial sustainability for you on a personal level? How can we incorporate everything that we've talked about this morning and really apply it to our daily and everyday lives? So anyone, if opening up the floor. Professor, if you would, yeah, ladies first, we'd like to hear from you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, fellow speakers. Thank you for this opportunity. And regarding the question, I think I have one tagline on that. It's actually save more, spend less, stress never. And that's self-explanatory. Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Gusto ko yun. So save more, spend less, and stress less. Stress never. Okay, stress never. Okay, thank you very much. Gentlemen, perhaps you'd like to build, or if you have anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. For me personally, I think it's very important to save more. Make sure you allot something that you will save as a commitment before you do the spending. And finally, as you go to your professional world, your salaries will increase, but that doesn't mean your costs should increase as well. So live within your means.
Yes, so it's really becoming financially responsible, a part of adulting for everyone. You know? And we keep telling our audience to save your money and your money will save you. So this is not just for yourself, but also something that you can do for your family, for your peers, and also for the community. You see, with the better savings rate, the quality of life in general will increase. And it's really not just about you sacrificing what you can spend today, but it's more on learning the value of delayed gratification. Being able to afford better things in life because you are responsible and you know to wait for that right moment, that time that you can really afford to make that major spend.
I'll read to you one of my columns now, which defines financial literacy. Financial literacy is inseparable from sustainability because both of them emphasize long-term responsibility and wise resource management. A financially literate population makes informed decisions. So as Ma'am said, spend prudently, save consistently, and invest for the future. This mindset supports sustainable consumption and reduces social inequality. Inclusive financial education empowers communities to access credit, start enterprises, and participate in economic growth, which are cornerstones of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. On a national scale, financial literacy strengthens resilience against crisis, but we should not romanticize resilience. No? Ultimately, sustainability is not only about protecting ecosystems, but also about sustaining livelihoods. It provides the tools and mindsets to achieve both by transforming citizens into responsible stewards of their finances, communities, and the planet.
Okay. I'd like to then now ask a question to the panelists, no? Because I think they've all talked about what in theory we're supposed to be doing or what would be financial literacy on our part. But I think the question that happens, and we see it happening especially now in social media, is how do you discern, how do you be able to filter what is being put out there as financial advice versus what is a scam, di ba? Because like you'll have all these videos of Ricky Rason, of what do you call this, San Miguel Corporation, of Ramon Ang, di ba, telling you, advising you to do this, do that, and those are credible people who normally you should have listened to. But of course, they wouldn't be doing those kinds of messages. So how do you find financial literacy to be part of that, and what are the safeguards to be able to discern what is real and what should really be taken as proper advice?
I think, there are so many false information that you will see in the social media. But I think the key there is actually to conduct due diligence, which I'm also teaching to my students, that it is very important. Before you invest, you have to conduct due diligence and ensure that it's really authentic. That would be the first stage. And in that way, your money will not put to something that will be useless. So it's really be mindful, be prudent, and there is always that value of integrity. Thank you.
So for me, I think there's maybe two rules. The first one, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true, right? That's just it. We talked about earlier interest rates, right, which is from like 18%, right? These are the usual things you should look into. If it's more than 50%, it's probably too good to be true. The second one is when you listen, when you get your advice, and this is me personally, it's important that you get advice, but you curate who you get your advice to, right? So that means having few people that you trust rather than getting more, because when you listen to all of the advice in the internet, there's agendas that are clashing and scenarios that are really not relevant for you. So it's more important that for seeking advice, you have a more curated, selected people around you rather than online presence.
Yeah, I guess to the example, when we're seeing online videos of, say, the businessmen, Ricky Razon and Ramon Ang, giving what seems to be something that won't come from them, but they're very, very reliable. The younger generation now, I've noticed, are more discerning, and they can actually spot a deep fake a mile away. And that's something that I cannot do. Because sometimes I ask, totoo ba to? So there goes the due diligence. But, and getting also advice from professionals, from experts, that's also true. But I think surrounding yourself with the right people, with also having the right mindset is also important. So meaning, be in a community that really fosters, proper exchange and discourse of information about investments, about savings, about personal finance, and you will be in a good place. So we encourage actually community building, and in that community, dun yung makikita which ones are really providing, sensible information and which ones are just trying to hype things up. And of course, once you get the feedback from the community, go back to your due diligence. And just to add to what Ma'am said, always look for credible source of information. There's a lot of, content creators who pose as financial advisors but don't have the necessary licenses. They will give this advice, but when the investment goes out, you cannot find them anymore. So always rely on credible sources of information, the proper media. If you're investing in stocks, go to the PSE Edge websites for proper disclosure. So with the right information, you will be, equipped, and you'll have the right, I would say, armor to protect yourself from these scrupulous individuals, from these investment scams.
To add to what my co-panelists have shared with you, I would say that social media is full of fake news and disinformation. So it's better to rely on mainstream media, like Bulletin. It's because journalists are trained to report the correct thing, and also because there are editors who would fact check what is being reported. So of course there's no AI there to. Some rely on ChatGPT, but they still edit it, no? So it's not fake as bloggers or influencers would want to relay, no? So one example of an expert that maybe some of you have heard of, Eugene Acevedo, who just retired from RCBC as president. He has this LinkedIn column account that advises people on personal finance. We published this book, which won the Gold Quill last June in Vancouver. So he's one of the experts that should be relied on. And also, you go to PSE, there are legit stockbrokers there. Also, rely on your bankers. No, so, still old school. These are reliable, yes. Okay.
Sorry, can I add one more?
Sure, please
So,
go ahead.
One other thing I think would be helpful for us is curate your algorithm. So make sure you follow those that are institutions already, because the idea is that as you follow these institutions, the ones that are in the fake news will tend to kind of go away from your own kind of bubble, right? So, the reality is that the algorithm will serve you what you're looking for, and so the way you look for at the start will help determine the quality of your algorithm. That's why if you have so many Jedge algorithm, then it's probably because you're searching for those at the start. But you can recurate your algorithm by searching. Well, like for example, as mentioned, Manila Bulletin, for example, yes, or Rappler, or again these news agencies that tend to phrase more effort in discerning what's true.
Yeah. So I think that really, guys, the main takeaway is, again, key phrase. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't. Especially considering on social media, you really hear how the people like to romanticize the concept of earning or investing and talking about how easy it is to double your money and all of that. And while on some level, yes, especially with companies like GCash or HSBC that make it very accessible to be able to save and invest. But if anyone is promising you something over 6%, diba, na parang, that's already a very lucrative offer for a time deposit. And if anyone is promising you anything more than that, or the guaranteed na idodoble yung pera mo, that's kind of something to look out for, right? So let's just be very exercise our due diligence there. So again, at this point, we have the microphone over here. So if there's anyone or any students who'd like to ask any questions, just please feel free to head over here. Or if you're shy, it's all right. We understand. Just raise your hand, and we'll have somebody come up to you with a microphone. So does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? This is your opportunity, guys. You don't get an opportunity like this every day where we have our experts here to talk about, financial literacy. So most of you are business majors or marketing management majors. So if you have any questions, anyone? All right, so while you're gnawing on that, sige, I'll ask a question. So I think to just maybe even laymanize a little bit more the concept of saving for everyone. So ako personally, one of my personal practices, if you're familiar, is the 50-30-20. So when how many of you are graduating? Anyone? Wala. Okay, we have one student graduating from La Salle, claiming it. The rest, let's check our GPAs, no? Joke lang. But for especially since at the end of the day, when you guys leave school, you'll be entering the workforce, right? And then it's understanding how to make use of your sueldo, your income. So for me personally, it's the 50-30-20. So 50% goes to my expenses, 30% I pay to myself. So that's just, general spending. And 20% of my income, I allot for savings. So that's just one of the many different tools. Would anybody, whether it's your personal practice or if you have any other recommendations or suggestions like this for our students as they enter the workforce and start, earning a regular income?
Well, okay, let me take a crack at it. 50-30-20 rule. Ang ganda pakinggan. Looks like very effective. Pero to tell me honestly, mahirap, right? It is
Yes,
very difficult.
It is, yeah.
So normally what we tell our clients, or at least the people that we work with, before you even start thinking of how to allocate your funds, which ones would go to expenses, savings, and investment, you try to understand first your spending habit. So dito we laymanize it because of our clients, right? So in the layman term, hanapin mo yung tagas. So think of a cup, and there's a faucet, and the faucet keeps on pouring water in the cup, but you can't seem to fill that cup. So somewhere in that cup, may tagas, may butas. And yung tagas na to, these are the little unnecessary spend that you think is not hurting your finances, pero you don't really need them. So once you identify these little unnecessary spends that you can live without, that is already the start of your source for your savings fund. And as you continuously build on that habit, being mindful of your expenses, tracking your expenses, you get to observe that your savings is actually growing as a percentage of your income. And potentially, it can be that your target is the 50-30-20. Pero it's getting you there. Kasi sometimes thinking about the 50-30-20 might be overwhelming to someone who's, ang experience niya is, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm making ends meet. Pero in reality, everyone has the capacity to save. They just don't know where to source the funds from. They just don't realize may tagas pala. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. So always identify yung mga unnecessary spends. All right, Professor.
If I can share also my personal experience on savings, I started in the corporate world as 20 years old. And during that time, I don't know yet how to save. So it was something like every time I get hold of my check, my money, I would really spend it, everything. In fact, at the start of my career, the spending that I would have is more than what I earn. So I'm just lucky that my parents would provide that extra allowance. But there are so many opportunities now. Don't copy what I did. But in the middle of my age, in the career life, I started to save. And it was something like, as what the gentleman mentioned, there are some tagas. So for example, is it, is it, is it okay to buy Starbucks every day? Or should I just save it? Even my children, I would tell them when they ask permission to buy Starbucks, and I would say, oh, there is a good coffee in the kitchen. And it's something like the special Nescafe, if I can say the brand. I would really buy the gold one. There is a brand, right? It's gold. So you can drink that instead of Starbucks. So along the way, I was able to realize, and in fact, I am teaching financial literacy because of my experience. So there were things that I would really let go, and I realized that, for example, spending on unnecessary things because I was promoted. So every time I receive an increase or promotion, I don't change my lifestyle. It's something like I would buy an insurance that will benefit my family as an investment. Kasi there are so many insurance now that not only the life insurance where the one who will enjoy would be your beneficiary. There are insurance now, products that you will enjoy in the future. So it's really financial literacy because you would know so many opportunities on how to save. And it's also good that with that principle of not changing the lifestyle, you will not be greedy as what we are promoting now, seeing what is going on around. So it's really that sense of integrity and honesty. And being a chief finance officer, I was able to hold a lot of funds in billions, but everything is accounted for. And I'm very proud of it because I can sleep every night peacefully. And my family is proud of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. All right, so remember, the key, for me, the key takeaway talaga is, even if your income increases, that doesn't necessarily mean that your lifestyle or your expense also has to increase in proportion to that, right? So that's actually where the savings can come in. All right, so again, last call for any questions.
Excuse me, may I add to that?
Yes, sir.
Don't treat your credit card as an ATM, no? So, very basic. Also, don't accept multiple credit cards. It's better to have debit cards so that you don't spend more than you earn or more than you save.
Yeah, it's understanding how to use credit. That's also something that's very important as well. All right. I think we had a question here from this gentleman. Sir, please go ahead. The microphone.
Good morning, distinguished speakers. So my question is about investments. So recently, the stock price for gold mining companies such as OGP, Oceana Gold Philippines Incorporated, have risen exponentially. My advisors say that this is a sign of a bad economy as people are putting their money into safer investments rather than diversifying into other streams of income. Would you recommend that students invest in minerals such as gold and silver to safeguard their money?
Anybody want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a very huge jump. So like, no, I mean, there's a couple of like nuggets of truth there, right? So number one is that traditionally people tend, or institutions, it's actually not people, it's institutions tend to move to commodities, specifically gold, when times are uncertain. And that's really because gold tend to have a bit more stable valuation, no? And it matches before the USD in terms of like stability, right? Now, if you're gonna ask me if you should do that personally, then and then that's a bit of a very different scenario, right? So my take is really to understand the nature of the securities or the financial securities that you're looking at, right? When you look at commodities, you look at stocks, you look at bonds, you look at funds, there are intrinsic properties there. Meaning, so for example, when you look at stocks, that's an equity, so it rises and falls with the valuation of a company. Similar to commodities, right? So even with gold, it's more stable for sure. But number one, there's barriers to entry to purchasing gold, and commodities doesn't operate the same as across minerals. So it doesn't mean that gold is stable, this other mineral is stable, or corn is stable. That doesn't translate. Similarly, if you look at bonds, the nature of bonds is that it's lending. So there is secured, prioritized payment towards you. So it's very important to look at it at the nature of itself rather than looking at it more on what's happening on like right now, right? So if you're gonna ask me if you want to safeguard your investments, look at the low risk part. So the very low risk is time deposit for sure. But closely following through it is really through loans or through bonds, bond investments, because that's fixed. You want to be more secure, go for sovereign because you're essentially betting against a country. There.
Yeah, what he said. But yeah, it's very important to diversify. So remember, when there is an economic downturn, when markets are challenging, when you see a lot of volatility, it's presenting an opportunity for you. But the thing is, how do you grab that opportunity and how do you make the right decisions? So you look for, if you're still targeting equities, you look for companies that will still perform despite economic challenges. So there are defensive companies. One is about to do an IPO. I'm not saying you should buy, but my point is, companies like those would weather economic challenges. Now, should you want to diversify, it's very good to diversify, not only in different companies or sectors, but also across different asset classes. So you may look at fixed income as well. There are also savings schemes available, like the MP2 is a very good product. It's giving really good rates right now. Commodities is also a good way to go in any market that's challenged. And talking about the barriers to entry earlier, we've actually made investing to gold very, very accessible through our G Crypto product. So we have a PAX G wherein the underlying asset is gold. And there's real gold stored somewhere in Europe. So yeah, that solves your barrier to entry.
May I ask which broker are you trading with? Are you Are you doing online?
Personally, I haven't invested yet. I've just been hearing a lot about it online as well and from my advisors.
Because
Open with G Stocks, we have research.
because there's no commodity exchange here in the Philippines, no? I was in my previous life. I was a stockbroker in the 1990s. No? You were not born yet. And there were lots of IPOs at that time, almost every month. No, in the time when President Ramos forced the merger of the Makati and Manila stock exchanges. Yeah, in the early 90s, 93, there was a boom in the market all the way to 90s, before the Asian financial crisis. So you have to trust brokers who are registered with the PSE and the SEC. Don't just rely on any info that you get. No, gold now is at its peak, no? So there's a possibility that it will, yes, nowhere to go but down. No? When the bonds and the equities, yes. So be very prudent when you do commodities, because before there were commodity firms here that were trading, but actually there was no exchange. So they were doing it from Hong Kong, but actually there were charges of fraud, no, at the time. Yeah, false trades, no? Because you don't really have the exchange here. Okay.
All right. So I think really the key takeaway from that question was diversification. That's important. And then secondly is also understanding the nature of the investment or the product that you want to get, and understanding how those products complement the current market, right? So if it's a very volatile market, maybe looking at more conservative investments, and then if the market's really good, look at something else. But it's really diversifying and then understanding, the right product for the right time. All right. So I guess last question, if there are anyone else. All right, we have a lady over there. Yeah, please feel free to approach the mic. So we'll have this as our last question before we close our morning session.
And can we give a small round of applause for Sam Thurman and his moderating today and his valuable input?
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm so small. Anyway, my question here is more related to persons like me who is starting on with little to no knowledge with investments, but the question is also related to the Philippine Stock Exchange. So the basic question here is, what can you say about the Philippine Stock Exchange in insurance? To broaden this question, how can the new government mandates require listed companies such as the Philippine Stock Exchange to disclose the climate risk and insurance firms to plan for the climate changes, which translates into the practical, as they said, spend smart strategy for ordinary Filipino families to protect their income and assets from the current situation that we are facing, such as the typhoons, the current inflations, and the market instability. And to follow up with that specifically, can you suggest what are the safest, lowest minimum investment vehicles where us college students with little knowledge can put their savings on the outspace of inflation, and how that would link to the country's overall financial resilience?
Yeah, I think you're wearing your answer.
Other than what Gcash has stated.
And for the thesis reply.
I can cover the sustainability report.
Yeah?
Yeah. So with regard to sustainability reporting, there has been an ongoing requirements already for companies to disclose. It's been there since 2021, I believe. But the problem, not the problem, but the format is continuously changing. No? So actually, if you look at your favorite stock picks or whatever, or publicly traded companies, part of their annual report is their sustainability report already. And from there, you can understand a couple of things. Number one, what are the material issues for them? So for example, a company like, Globe or Gcash would be cybersecurity as a material issue. But if you look at, let's say, AC Energy is, of course, renewable energy penetration. So you can understand exactly what their strategies are in addressing the sustainability issues that they're faced with. It's there, it's just too many words, which is a bit of a challenge, but it's a good exercise for everyone to read, because you'll get a better understanding of how these companies try to mitigate risks that are coming their way when it comes to climate. And it's real, right? So right now, there's a lot of initiatives already to hopefully provide a bit of quantification when it comes to climate risks. So for example, for banks, we're starting to look into climate stress testing, meaning we look at the assets that we have and see if, let's say, a certain scenario, for example, flooding happens, how many of our assets are exposed and at what level. And that's happening already across the different banks that we have right now. And so when it comes to sustainability, there's already details around it. I think the next step for PSE is to actually provide a dashboard around it, or a data availability, because these reports are already digitized. And so, but it's not yet publicized as of the moment. I'm throwing it away on the other investments.
Yeah, just to add to sustainable investing, what it means for you as a retail investor. So the thing is, there are a lot of international institutional investors with millions of funds that they're managing. And these are, not in pesos, huh? And they're looking for green investments. They're looking for sustainable investments. Why? You want to be supporting companies that, will be here in the next 50 years. And you want to be supporting companies that are taking care of the planet. Because, guys, we only have one planet. I mean, we can't move to Mars, right? So, what does it mean for you as an investor? So when you are mindful of the sustainability component of the companies that you're considering, there's a potential institutional support from international investors, and that will help drive the price movement for your investment. So it has a positive effect on you. And also at the same time, you feel good that you're investing in something that's also doing good for the planet, right? And all of these investment products are actually available in GCash. So you can, you can find them in our GStocks platform. I'll talk to my former colleagues at the PSE on how they can come up with the dashboard that you were saying, but that would be really, really good. And if that's available, we'll integrate it in the app for you. For funds, we have sustainable funds also available, so it will allow you to easily diversify. So going back to your question, even as a student or even as a young professional starting out, a lot of fintech companies, not only GCash to be fair, have made investments not only accessible but also affordable for everyone. So, back in the 90s, the barrier to entry is so high. But now you can start investing for as low as 50 pesos for local funds, as low as 1,000 pesos for global funds. So take this opportunity. But before you start putting your money in higher risk or in riskier investments, just be sure that you've built the solid foundation first. Start with an amount in your savings account that you are comfortable with. Because in any investment, I'm telling you, any investment, even fixed income, there's volatility. And the thing is, you won't be hit by this volatility if you have enough emergency funds in place. So that when you have that need for liquidity, you won't be touching your investments for the long term. You have that pool in your emergency fund.
When is GCash going to have an IPO? Di ba you announced earlier this year and then you postponed it?
Okay, I thought you were going to.
You're on the hot seat.
Well, we really appreciate the interest given by the market for our anticipated IPO. And we really believe that, GCash kasi is nothing without the Filipino people. So it's the Filipino people that made GCash. And kami naman, we're just coming up with more and more products and services to help our kababayans. And when that time comes, here's something that, while I cannot disclose timelines, there will be proper disclosures in place. And of course, where will you get that? From the PSE. Pero this is what we are making sure, that as much as possible, a very, very wide distribution. So that more Filipinos, if not lahat ng interesado to become part owners of GCash, will become part owners of GCash through the IPO.
Thank you. I suspect that they're postponing it because of the flood control scandal now. And it's very relevant to your question regarding the PSE. In fact, the SEC chairman last week said that 1.7 trillion pesos worth of investments were lost. So he retracted it, but actually there are verified sources that say it's actually more than that. So you choose those companies that are not involved, person that have directors or management who are linked with this corrupt people, no? And also check the sustainability reports, which are now part of the SEC and the PSE requirements. Some are already integrated into the annual financial reports. Thank you.
Sorry, but just to add very quickly, to be honest, you can actually query it through ChatGPT. So search for your company and then look for, say, can you get me the data sustainability report of this company? It will link you directly to it. So use your AI prowess, guys. I know you guys are good at what you call this, setting up queries on AI, use it here on sustainability.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, for that question. And thank you, gentlemen, professor, for taking the time this morning. Can I get a round of applause, please, for our panelists? Thank you very much. So before we officially close this morning's session, if I could just ask everyone to stand.